is a Wednesday, and that means time now for us to have our weekly doctor visit with Dr. Stan Anderson. He is on our WHBC Newsline. Good morning, Dr. Stan.
Hey, Pam. Great to talk to you.
All right, so Dr. Makey was wonderful last week. Thank you for sharing him with us.
Oh, he's an excellent person. And anybody that has the pleasure of being able to see him, he is just outstanding.
Yeah, he did a great job. And I know that producer Billy was asking you, told you that I wanted to know what your middle name was. That's just in case you're bad, and I have to say Stanley Roy Anderson.
Yeah, I was named after my uncle. He was, his actual name was Roy Clark, but he wasn't the famous musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was from near Portland, Oregon, and he had an impact on my mom as she was growing up. He was the oldest of the Clark clan, and I was named after him.
All right, very good. Well, I hope I don't have to use your middle name.
If I do, I know I'm in trouble.
That's exactly right. That's it. Oh, boy. All right, so let's talk about, there's some great stuff here this morning we're going to get to. First of all, better sleep. You know, we all want better sleep. So is there a connection to high protein, high fiber?
Yeah, so this was the research from the University of Tsukuba in Japan. They dug into the data of almost 5,000 people who were using mobile apps to track their food and track their sleep. And what they found was that people who were eating high fiber and high protein, on average, had about 10% better sleep. So in our day and age, where people don't generally get as much sleep as they want and our sleep is disrupted, one of the little tricks that might make a difference is add more fiber, add more protein. And the thinking is that it impacts the gut bacteria. So the microbiome is the medical word for it. That's the bacteria that live in our small intestine. And what we believe is the more that you make the gut bacteria healthy, the happier they will be, and the more that impacts the quality and quantity of your sleep. So it's an interesting little study. So it's something that if anybody is suffering with, I just don't sleep as well, I don't wake up feeling as refreshed, I'm not feeling as good, a simple dietary thing is try adding more fiber and try eating more protein. Try to limit the sweets and the sugars, and those little maneuvers might make a difference for you.
There you go. That's great, and that's an easy way to do it. So very good.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're talking memory problems and B1, the vitamin B1.
Yeah, this is also kind of interesting. So there's a clinical trial that's looking to see about thiamine or vitamin B1, and they were looking to see does it help people who have memory issues, specifically early-stage Alzheimer's disease. And what they found was people who simply go to the drugstore and get vitamin B1. So it's the very first of all the B vitamins, B1. The name for it is thiamine. And they take the standard dose that are found in the over-the-counter, that it had almost as good of a result as people that are taking the official early Alzheimer's medicines. So these early results are really promising that maybe if we simply adjust our diet or if we add more vitamin B1, that makes a big difference. So it's a simple thing to do. If you're thinking that you might have some memory problems, add B1. Now, if you don't like taking pills and you want to try to get it through your diet, the foods that have the greatest amount of vitamin B1 are found in the fruits, the vegetables, and then the salmon. So eating mackerel, tuna, and salmon, those also have a fair amount of vitamin B1. So just a little trick, if your memory isn't as good as you want it to be, try eating more fish or go get a B1 supplement and try taking that.
All right. Well, speaking of Alzheimer's, the colon cleanses. Talk about those.
Yeah, so you remember I mentioned the microbiome. Those are the healthy gut bacteria. One of the things that this was researchers that was done, they found that people that are doing colon cleanses, and they do them for a more protracted period of time, what they might be doing is they might be damaging their microbiome. So there's a lot of concern that alterations in the microbiome are potentially one of the key roles in developing dementia. So if you remove fiber from the diet, that can have a negative impact. And without fiber, the sugar-loving bacteria, they are the ones that then multiply, and you get an inflammatory response. And the inflammation that may be caused because of increased what we call permeability of the gut epithelial barrier. That results in those bacteria that love sugar. They end up becoming more active, and they put out neuroactive products that leads to inflammatory reactions in the brain. All of that, if you end up doing the juice cleanses. So it's possible that when you take away the fiber, when you go with liquids primarily, that what you're doing is you're feeding the wrong bacteria, and that leads to the risk of developing dementia down the road. In studies that were done where they ended up having people doing a juice cleanse for 3 to 7 days, what they found was that the microbiome was dramatically different. So with this, the microbiome is possibly one of the major contributors to cognitive decline, and that is now one of the key buzzwords in the entire neurology department. So now what we're starting to say is treat your healthy bacteria well. Be very careful that if you're doing a juice cleanse and no fiber, that you might actually be damaging the good microbiome, and you could be setting yourself up for more dementia.
All right, and finally, tell us what happens when we chew gum.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Chewing gum releases hundreds of tiny plastic pieces right into your mouth. And this was a research that was done. It was being shared at the conference that has not been published yet. It is basically still at the American Chemical Society in San Diego, and that was where this was presented late last week. And what they basically said was we measured the amount of saliva that ended up having plastics, and what they found was chewing one stick of gum, on average, released 150 microplastic fragments, and some of the different types of gum can release up to 600. So the whole idea is that if you chew a stick of gum every other day, you're going to have more than 3,000 microplastics that are going to be in your system because of doing that. Now, also, you have to be careful because when you compare apples to apples and you look at an average water bottle, the plastic bottles that are sold everywhere, they have up to 240,000 microplastics. The issue is we just don't know yet whether or not microplastics are seriously dangerous. The data is still out. We know that we get tons of microplastics. It's a disease that we think is contributing to a lot of the diseases of aging. We just don't know. All that the study says is be aware and be careful.
All right. Good advice, Dr. Stan. Dr. Stan Anderson. No Roy to mention. Have a good one, and we'll chat next week.
Thanks, Pam. I look forward to it.
Canton's Morning News with Pam Cook.
If you missed one of our guests, get the podcast now or anytime at WHBC.com.
This Easter,